head women's basketball recruiting coach with NCSA Athletic Recruiting, and I'm honored to be here today with Coach Jeff Reis, the head coach at Lindenwood-Belleville University in Belleville, Illinois. Welcome, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to elaborate here on your recruiting and your timeline and get some questions answered for our student athletes. If you could start us off by telling us about Lindenwood, about your university, what it has to offer, and what makes it unique.
Okay. We are an NAI Division I program that competes in the AMC Conference, the American Midwest Conference. It's one of the better women's basketball programs, our conferences in the nation. So, we play a very competitive conference schedule, and we have good teams in our conference, and, it keeps us pretty competitive throughout the season. We have 13 teams in our conference, and we play everybody twice, so we keep, busy schedule with that. Our university is unique in many different ways, is that we are located in a small town, but we have the big city, which is like 15 minutes from us. So, our kids get the experience of having both the big city and the small town all in one. And we have over 37 sports, so a lot of our students, our student athletes, which is different from a lot of universities, is that most of our, over 80% of our population is student athletes.
Yeah, you touched on something saying you're affiliated with the NAI. Can you elaborate on what that means for your university to be under that governing body?
Yeah, it's different than like the D3 where we're able to offer scholarships. We have with the NAI, we're allowed to play 11. We're allowed to have 11 full scholarships. So that basically means is that our total amount of money that we give scholarship-wise can only add up to 11 total scholarships. Which is a little different than Division II and Division I, and obviously Division III can't give out scholarships. So it's at the NAI level, we're probably similar to the Division II type of teams. We can compete with some Division IIs, not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And this past season, please tell us about that. And I believe you actually beat a NCAA Division II team, if that's correct.
Yeah, early in the season we would play an exhibition game against the Division II team, and we were able to beat them by about 20 points. So that just goes to show you that we can't compete with them. Throughout the season we finished 17 and 13. It was up and down. It was our first year of playing a conference schedule, so we were adjusting to the demands of the conference schedule, and we learned a lot as a team, coaching staff, of what it takes to compete in a conference, So we learned a lot this year about, how we need to be more physical, a better rebounding team. We need to be bigger. So what we did is we spent a lot of time in the off season lifting weights now. We're trying to get our kids stronger so that we can compete at that level. And then, the bad thing is that out of our 13 losses, I think 10 of our 13 losses were the teams that made it to the national tournament. So our record wasn't the best, but we're out there playing the best competition that we can.
Yeah, that's fantastic. With this and building off of your previous season, what are your goals for next season?
Our goals for next season is we finished fourth overall in conference. We want to get into the top two if possible. That's gonna be that's a tough goal, but I think it's something realistically if we do a good job of recruiting, and our kids improve, that's something that we can accomplish. We want to win over 20 games. I thought we should have got there this year, but we let some games slip away that we should have won. Games where we were winning by 20 and we just didn't finish the game. So our goal is to get better. Be able to compete with teams in our conference, the top teams. We went with the top three teams in the conference this year. We went 1-5 against them. We want to be at least above 500 if possible, and we had the number one team in the country in our conference, and we lost to them twice, and we just want to be able to compete better than we did this year, and we want to expand on our victories, and we'd like to make it to the national tournament. I know that's a challenging goal, but I think that's something that if we continue to do a good job of recruiting and our players continue to work harder, that's something that we can accomplish.
That's fantastic. Your last season, your goals for next season, it sounds great. And, here at NCSA, we always tell our student athletes to keep their options open when going through the recruiting process with NAI universities because of the successes that you guys have and the opportunities that you offer. And we also talk to them about not just your main teams as well, but you also offer JV opportunities along with almost all of the 300 other NAI universities, most have a JV program. Can you elaborate on what that is and what kind of opportunities it provides for student athletes?
I think it's a great opportunity for student athletes because our JV kids are still on scholarships. You know, our scholarships are different than most universities is that we offer what we call a talent scholarship. So we base our scholarships on your academics, your athletics, and your financial situation. So just because you're going to be on our JV team or our varsity team, like, you know, your scholarships are pretty much the same, you know, because we base them on different things. It's not just like the normal NAI that offers just a basketball scholarship. So with that being said, our kids get great scholarships, you know, and that's what it should be about is your education. You know, we're trying to pay for the kids' education, allow them to play basketball. You know, so a lot of kids get opportunities to play basketball here. You know, both of our teams play 30 games. So if we get a freshman that, you know, comes in and they're still going to play 30 games even if they're not on the varsity, which is good for them because they're getting a lot of playing experience, they're getting better, and they're getting their education paid for. You know, and our JV team is really good because we play all junior colleges. So we have say we have a freshman that comes in, they're going to go play the best freshman in the area. You know, they're going to get better every single day, and they have their scholarship, and they don't have to worry about credits transferring or anything like that because their scholarship is good for 5 years, 10 consecutive semesters. So, you know, we're able to take care of our kids, and you know, sometimes they look at being on JV as a negative thing, whereas we look at it as a positive thing because they're going to continue to grow in our program, they're going to continue to get better, and you know, we want to build from within. Bring freshmen along slowly. You know, a lot of times freshmen aren't ready to play at the varsity level, so they sit on the bench, and you know they don't get better. They don't get the game time experience. So that's the one thing I think is really great about the JV program is we can put a freshman on JV and let them get better, get a lot of game experience playing against other freshmen that are really good that maybe just couldn't meet it academically, so they're at a junior college and they're getting better every single day, and that's what we want. Is then next season we go to look for players. We have players from our program that we can just bring up, and they know our system, they know what we like to do, and it just seems like a plus, you know, for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does this work? As in, you know, when you're recruiting a student athlete, do they know if they're on varsity or JV? Is there a tryout date? Are there several tryouts? How does that operate?
Basically what we do is we get some kids on campus, and then like August, September, we have a lot of open gyms, and you know, let the kids get a lot of playing experience, let them get ready to go, and then we'll have a tryout when the season officially starts. And then what we do is we try to take, you know, the best, not necessarily the best basketball player, but obviously kids who are good at basketball, but we look more into like how are the kids performing in the classroom the first couple of months. You know, what kind of attitudes do they have? You know, are they you know, going to class every single day? Are they doing the little things? Are they getting in the weight room? Are they in the gym by themselves shooting? You know, we look at all those things because we want to get kids that not only are good at basketball, but kids who are going to succeed in the classroom, kids who are going to want to put in the work to get better. You know, kids that have good attitudes. There's a lot of it that goes into play when we select our varsity team. You know, we don't necessarily always take the best players. We take the best student athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. So if they're successful, they come in as a freshman, they're doing well. Do they have opportunities to move up on the varsity level, or do they have to wait until the following year? Are there rules on this?
We've in the last 2 years we've brought up one freshman each year after first semester. So basically we let them play, you know, 20 games at the 15 to 20 games at JV level, and they were doing really well. And then, you know, we decided that they've got a lot of game experience now. We're going to bring them to the next level and move them up just so that they could see what the level was like, the difference in the speed of the play, you know, and, you know, stuff like that. So in the last 2 years, we brought one kid up each year to the varsity. So it's not like just because you get put on JV at the beginning of the season, that doesn't mean you're there the entire season. You know, if you go down there and you know, you look at it as a positive instead of negative, and you go down there and you do everything you're supposed to, and you're the best person on the floor, and you know, you're diving after loose balls, you're taking charges, you're getting the weak side help on defense, you're doing all those little things that coaches like, you know, we have no problems bringing the kid back up. And sometimes kids look at it as a negative and they're like, they don't want to try, and then you get the kids that are like, I want to prove coach wrong, that I deserve to be on the varsity team. And that's the attitude that we want out of our kids. You know, we want them to say that, hey coach, you made a mistake, I'm better than what you think, and I'm going to go show that to you every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you elaborate, you know, you kind of hit on here at the varsity and JV level what you look for when a student athlete's on your campus. Can you elaborate on what do you look for in a recruit? So while they're still at their high school or while they're still at their junior college, what are you looking to see on and off the court to recruit them to your school?
The first thing that we have to look at is just how they're performing academically. We don't want to get a kid on here that we think is going to be a really good basketball player and have them that can't succeed in the classroom, because they're not going to be eligible. It's going to make things hard for us. So we first look to see how they're performing academically, because that's one of the requirements for, college basketball is you got to perform in the classroom. And then as going to watch them play, we look for, like, their attitude, during the games. When things go well for kids and they're playing well, you get a different type of attitude. It's the attitude that you see when a kid doesn't play well, doesn't shoot well. How do they respond to their teammates? What do they do when they're not shooting well? Are they still playing defense? Are they still engaged in what's going on? Are they still going to be about the team and not just about themselves? How do kids act during timeouts? Do they walk to the bench? Or are they jogging to the bench? Are they listening? Are they making eye contact with the coach during the timeouts? Are they not listening to the coach because they think they know more than him about basketball? And those are little things that, like, kids don't think that coaches realize, but those are the things that we're looking for. We want good kids that are going to be engaged, that are coachable. Nobody wants to get a kid that's not coachable, because that's just going to make for a long season. And some of the other things that are important are just like, when the contact, the conversations that you have with kids, how do they respond to you when you ask them questions, or what types of emails do they send you? Are they, sometimes the kids forget that, we're coaches and we're recruiting them, we're not their friends, so they'll send us emails that are, hard to understand, where they're using their slang words, they're not using proper grammar, they're not using sentences. That stuff's fine when you're texting your friends and stuff, but they got to understand that they're, texting and email coaches, that they need to address coaches differently than they would their friends. And some kids, I don't know if they just don't understand the importance of that, but, like, if I get an email and it's not in, sentence form, that's not an email that I'm not going to respond to. And I think that if you're serious about basketball and you're serious about our university, you're going to take time in that first email or the second email that you send us, and you're going to make it seem professional. And if you can't take the time to make a professional email to a coach that you're trying to impress, that says to me that you're not going to take the time to become a better athlete.
Yeah, understood. I hear you. That with all of this, when does this start for you? When do you start the recruiting process with a student athlete? Are you recruiting seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, junior college kids? At what point are you watching them and recruiting?
We try to watch them a lot during their senior season. We go out and we watch kids, and then we try to follow them along through their senior year. It's a little bit different. The NAIA level, a lot of kids are always, holding hopes that they're going to be a Division I, Division II player. So it's hard for us to get kids to commit early in their senior basketball year. We like to go out and watch kids and try to get them to be interested in our program, but that's a little bit tougher for us than it is at the Division I level, where kids are constantly, signing early. We spend a lot of time watching seniors, throughout the year, and just kind of following them and stay in touch with them, email them, call them, talk to them after their games, try to watch them practice and stuff like that. And as the season starts going on, we keep contact, and then as the season starts coming to an end, that's when most of our recruits are making their decisions of what school they're going to go to. So we spend about that whole senior year just being engaged with them and, trying to follow them and, just keep up to date with what they're doing and, try to just encourage them to come see us practice and see a game so that they can get a good feel for not only, how do we coach, but, how do our kids play, what our kids are like. And so basically through that senior year is when we really go after them hard.
Okay. Now, can you address, I know you talked about it a little bit with emails and just social skills all around with speaking to a coach and writing to a coach, but can you recommend overall some do's and don'ts for recruits?
First of all, I would just make sure that, like, when recruits, email me and ask for, like, what degrees do you offer? Well, I think that's something that if you're serious about our program, that's something that you can go online and find out. Every university has a website. Every university lists their degrees and stuff like that. So I think that's something that an athlete can do before they make contact? I think that's just a bad question to ask, because that just shows that you're not going to put any time into it, your effort of, what degrees do you offer, or, just research a little bit about the program, know some things about our university. Like, you should know, like, if you're considering a school, you should know what conference they're in. You should know what type of teams they play and stuff like that. So I think do a little research before you ask questions so you can gather some information. Would always be helpful to recruits. Just be professional. Make sure you know something about the school. Just do stuff like that. I think that the other thing that a lot of recruits mistakes they make is they like to email head coaches. And when I receive an email from a recruit, I use my assistant is in charge of all our recruiting. So I just forward those emails along to my assistant, who handles all our recruiting now. Sometimes it goes to me, and maybe we miss an email because I'm busy, in the office. So I think sometimes that they could try to reach out to the assistant first if it's just kind of a blind email to, hey, I'm interested in your school. I think that would be the first, if you're going to make first contact with a school to try to figure out the interest level. I think, emailing the assistant coach would always be, a good start, because a lot of times that's what, the assistant's job is to handle recruiting and stuff like that. So I think that could always help kids out in the first level of contact, because a lot of times head coaches don't have time just to watch film of a random recruit, and so but the assistant does. So I think that's one thing that along the recruiting thing that kids could do.
Thank you for that. Great tips. We stress that, every day here as well. So we hope student athletes definitely follow up with that. Now, you touched on something a few minutes ago. You said, you begin the recruiting process senior year. A lot of student athletes are looking NCAA, Division I, Division II. So if I'm a student athlete, why should I consider Lindenwood an NAI university? What's going to make me as a student athlete go there?
One thing that I always try to tell kids is you got to figure out what makes you happy. If you're looking at the Division II level compared to NAIA level, and you're like a player that's unsure which fit you make, you got to decide if you're comfortable going to a Division II school where you're not going to get much playing time, or are you wanting to play and score points and stuff like that. Then maybe you need to look at the NAIA level, and that's the one thing that we always try to communicate with players, is that if you're going to be not a top tier player like most of them are used to, are you going to be comfortable going somewhere where you only play 5-10 minutes, or would you rather go somewhere where you're going to play 25, 30, 35 minutes? And the kids, I see it all the time where they think that Division II is the thing. They want to be able to tell their friends that, hey, I'm playing Division II, and they get there, they play 5 minutes, and then they're ready to transfer, whereas they've wasted a whole year where they could have went to the NIL level, stepped in, played right away, and became a star. So kids just need to figure out what they want to do. Do they want to play? Do they want to sit on the bench? And that's the one thing that we always try to sell the kids, is that you come here, you make a name for yourself. You play here 4 years, you get your name in the record books, and you become, I don't want to say it, you become a legend at our university, where everybody knows who you are. And I think that's one of the biggest selling points for the NAI level. And sometimes that Division II wants, kids who are a little taller. We get really good basketball players, but there might be 5'5", 5'6", 5'7", whereas they want 6-foot guards. So if you're 5'7", you got to understand it's going to be hard for you to compete at that level sometimes. Now, obviously some kids at that size can do it, but usually our guards are really skilled. They're just a little bit smaller in stature, which is one benefit that, that of going the NAI level.
Yeah, you bring up so many great points, and I really appreciate it. I think this will help many of our student athletes and better understand your university and the NAI as well. And you touched on a lot of great things. I really appreciate your time, Coach Reis, and, best of luck to you guys next season. And we are very excited to hear how it goes. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you for having me, Nicole. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too, Coach. Bye-bye.
Bye.